And we were sort of thinking about the analogy between jiu-jitsu coaches and cult leaders.
Pretty similar stuff. We're close to Waco as well, so.
Very similar figures in this sport. Everyone's probably either trained at and left. If you're retarded, you've probably trained at and you're still training at gyms where the head coach is kind of like a cult-like figure. A lot of these gym leaders, cult leaders, have a lot of stuff in common, right? They have outfits. They maybe even have their own language. And also, a key one is either partner sharing. When I say partner, I mean wives, sisters, daughters, mums, all being shared amongst the crew, or just that cult leader is actually banging away at everyone's partners, family members, whatever.
Don't forget a little bit of physical abuse as well.
Physical abuse is in there too. If we're talking about some of the great cult leaders, obviously I share the name of one of them, Jim Jones, the Jonestown Massacre. That is a big one. That's probably one of the craziest stories I've heard about. I watched a couple of documentaries. I even listened to the tape of when they did the mass suicide, which is pretty traumatic.
Pretty crazy, yeah.
But it also reminded me of, have you ever had a Brazilian guy come into a seminar at your school and they start talking about, they do a very passionate speech again at the end of, some of them can't even wait to get out of the way. They'll throw it at the start of a seminar. Some of them throw it in at the end. They talk about honor, respect, discipline, loving your wife, not doing steroids. And then the second the seminar ends, we're doing drugs and going straight to the brothel. Obviously, contrast in character there. I think the contrast is very similar with cult leaders too. Do as I say, not as I do. But yeah, I don't know what it is about martial arts and cults.
Charles is an interesting group of people, you know?
Yeah, I think it's just people worship the gym leader like they do worship a cult leader. I remember a guy I trained with in Taiwan. I don't remember his full name, Dan. I think his Instagram's Danimal. I remember him telling me about some funny stuff about where he tries to keep his students in line, right? And he'll every now and then throw out a joke he knows is just a terrible joke. And if he gets laughter around the room, he'll be like, what the fuck's wrong with you guys? That's not funny at all. Like, he'll test the waters to see. And again, if you're a gym that has graduation, like sort of a ceremony, maybe once, twice a year where everyone gets promoted, usually your jokes will hit very hard leading up to those times. You know, like, again, I don't know how to quite phrase this. You know, obviously you leave Scientology, you're going to miss out on a few movie deals. You know, you're going to take a few hits. I think some of the jiu-jitsu gyms out there, you leave that gym, you are going to miss a few opportunities, but hopefully you will find yourself in a healthier mental state. The crazy thing is as well, when you leave a team, like you could be training with a guy for 5 to 10 years. You literally could have known this guy maybe 1/3 of your entire life. You think you're friends. And then maybe for whatever reason, you leave the gym and you train at a different gym. Whether it's even in the same city, sometimes you get excommunicated when you just move cities. Like, people will be like, what's wrong? Like, how could you leave us? You know, like, it really is like leaving a cult. So many gyms are like that.
You know, these gyms, some people think they're like a big happy family, you know? And that's where the problem starts there.
Yeah, that's true. Replaces a father figure. I think a lot of martial arts, specifically jiu-jitsu, I don't know, obviously I'm a taekwondo yellow belt expert in taekwondo and yellow belt in judo. Obviously multi-sport athlete, yeah. Again, you've seen me dunk. But I think a lot of the martial arts, the jiu-jitsu coach replaces people's father figures. And you'll see a lot of young guys that lack a father figure get drawn in by like not even necessarily a charismatic coach, but just like an interesting guy, peculiar guy. You just see these really strange relationships. You see it a lot in jiu-jitsu, for sure.
Yeah, I think a lot of jiu-jitsu guys do have some daddy issues. We've seen it cultivate in the highest levels as well.
Yeah, that's for sure. That's for sure. These people have dependency on their coach. You got to be careful not to abuse your privileges. You know, like I've spoken to guys that are just opening their own school, and they give me this sort of speech where they're like, "Hey, at my school, things will be different. I will not take advantage of any of my members." For the most part, that just means that's an innocent thing. Some of you guys are going to interpret that as take advantage of your female members. Of course, that is a factor as well. But what I mean is they'll say, "Hey, no one's going to be working unpaid in my gym. No one's going to be doing me any favors." 6 months later, you'll see that coach put up a post, be like, "Hey, I'm moving house this weekend. Who wants to help me move?" Like, people will literally do anything for these guys. They'll be their chauffeur. They'll wash their clothes, drop them at the airport. And as a coach, you really got to try your best not to take advantage of these people, because really, a lot of the time they're just doing that because they want to be closer. Within the cult, they want to be closer to the leader. You know what I mean? They want to climb their way to the top because that means they're probably going to get their belt sooner.
Yeah, that stripe comes that month. You might see a couple guys show up at the gym, show up to help the instructor move, chauffeur.
That shit's so bizarre, hey. I mean, I make sure that every time a student drops me to the airport, it's a different student each week. And obviously, whichever student I allow to do my laundry. I mean, firstly, it's a trust thing from the coach too. You got to ensure that they're not going to steal your underwear.
Yeah.
Some of the people in the gym, again, Nicky Ryan, every time he washes my clothes, something goes missing. Something goes missing on the way back, or something comes back with a new stain on it, usually a skid mark. Nicky Ryan might be trying on the underwear. But yeah, in terms of cults very pervasive in the jiu-jitsu community. I swear some of these guys must be studying cults throughout history, trying to work out how to cultivate their own cult. I swear, again, they've got the mission path down for it. Again, you want to wear a fancy uniform, you want to be wearing something odd, you want to throw in a foreign language of any sort, or even your own code words, and then of course, you're not really a cult leader unless you're having sex with other people's partners or your students. Those three factors, I think, very common within the jiu-jitsu community. And again, it's something obviously I think only black belts should be allowed to do.
If it quacks like a duck, if it walks like a duck, probably is a duck, bud.
we gotta respect the roots, you know. And again, like I said, everyone says things will be different in their gym. Things will be different when they get a black belt. We all say that, but we all abuse our privileges anyway.